Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to another video. I'm back down here at Motech today. The reason I'm here is my best mate, Scott, has actually just been out and bought himself this lovely F31 340i Touring behind me. I get a lot of requests about this car, and I have done for the last couple of years, and I've never really featured one on the channel, so hopefully I'll do more of a review video on it very soon. The reason we're here is Scott got a very good deal on this approved car. It's on a 19 plate, so it's one of the very last of the F31 generation. It's got the fantastic B58 engine in it, but because it is cluttered up with OPF filters and all sound regulations, it's very, very quiet even when it's in sport. So first stop, he's had it like 2.5 weeks. We're down here at Motech to get a Remus axle back system fitted to it. It didn't stop there though, because Scott's been away on holiday for the last week and he's got a bit carried away looking at the Motech YouTube channel, and now he's getting springs and spacers and God knows what else by the time we leave here today. So it's going to be a really exciting day, and I'm looking forward to seeing the transformation on this car, because it is a lovely car. It's a real sleeper, but even in this Shadow Edition spec with the 19-inch wheels, it could look a bit more aggressive. And I know that that sort of 20-25mm drop, the 12mm spacers, and the sound, we want to hear that B58. So I think all of those things combined, it's really going to transform this car. So we'll go inside, we'll watch the process of it all getting done, and then afterwards we're going to take the car out and you get to meet Scott, the owner, and we'll see what his initial impressions are. Jay, if you wouldn't mind, could you give us a rev check in comfort at the moment? I'm going to walk around the back. Okay, go for it. So as you can see, it's unmistakably a B58, but it's very quiet. Now, give us a Sport Plus. Nice. So not bad, but on the move, it's really difficult to hear that, and certainly we know what the B58 is capable of once it's got a Remus exhaust on it. Okay guys, we're inside now. Here is Mike from Motech. Hello. I'm sure most of you know Mike. He's featured in a lot of my videos. Before we talk about what's getting fitted, I just want to say a big shout out to Motech Performance. Make sure you do check them out and follow them on Instagram and their YouTube channel, because they've got loads of YouTube content with lots of cars like Scott's one behind, getting all sorts of things done to it. So we're going to quickly run through what is getting fitted to Scott's car. So let's start with the exhaust, or the back box.
Yeah, so we got a lot of phone calls on newer cars. So midway through 2018, Euro 6 came in, started fitting OPF filters, BPF filters. Now the problem is like a 340i like this, it wasn't necessarily designed to have a filter put in place. It's really muffled, and like you said, as soon as you bought the car, it was very quiet. Yeah. The newer M340i don't sound so bad, because obviously it's built in place with it. Sure. So what we're going to do today is remove the standard rear box and fit it with the Remus one, which is, as you can see probably in a bit of video footage in a minute, it's a lot shorter. It still works with the valve, but being a rear box, it's certainly going to look better, sound a lot deeper, but not be sort of too intrusive, but just give the car a bit more of an edge and a bit more drama that the newer cars with the OPF filters have got. Yeah, like on the M140s, as you know, it's very quiet. Yeah, or bring it back in line similar to the 16, older B58s. Yeah, exactly. A bit like my rear box when I had that fitted to my M2 competition. Yes. It opened up massively. Yeah, exactly. And it just meant that there was just nicer sound. But the most important thing is it doesn't mess with the OPF filters, obviously things like the cats, everything, all that stays in place. So MOTs or sensors, etc. Like I say, direct replacement. It still works with the valve, so when you go from comfort, so you go to eco to comfort mode, it still keeps the valve closed. Sport plus, it'll open it up, so you get a bit more of an overrun burble and a pop and bang. So it's well worth doing if you find these are too quiet. And like I sort of say, these respond pretty well from just the rear box. We can at a later date, if you want a bit more, remove the resonator. I think for today we'll just do with the rear box. Yeah, exactly. We did on two videos. Put the little link up. Up there, exactly. You've done this before. I have once. But doing things in stages is always quite good. We'd always recommend that, because you might find for some people this is enough. Rather than going the whole way in, just do it in stages as you go. Knowing Scott, he'll be back here. Oh, he's already picked out a lot of stuff. Exactly. Yeah, talking of that, just quickly, we're out there and Scott's seen the
filters, the air filters, drop-in filters.
We're going to replace it with a drop-in foam pipe across filter, just free flowing. And we fit onto your M140.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, again, not a big difference, but when the windows are down, you're going to hear a bit more turbo intake. Knowing that the engine's breathing a little bit more efficiently is well worth doing as well. So, two nice sort of starting mods, if you like, for these later cars. So you'll notice a big difference on your way home. So that'll be good.
Cool. And we've got the one of 4 options for tailpipes.
Yeah, there's more choices on these because they're slightly longer than the 140s. So we have the chrome, the full carbon like we've done on your car, the gloss black and carbon. Then we do this as a brushed silver and carbon as well. This is probably my favourite. I like the carbon, I like the gloss black, and like I sort of say, you can't get this on the 140s and 240s.
You should be very familiar with this, guys, if you watch a lot of my content. So they're Eibach lowering springs that Mike works with Eibach with, special spring rates, etc. Basically designed to, talking from my own personal use and preference, they don't ruin the ride at all. With spacers, I seem to think my M135i, if anything, the ride felt a bit better,
Yeah, completely.
But also, and probably most important to Scott, is the fact that it really improves the look of the car, along with some 12mm Motech spacers. So it just gives the car that stance. That factory OEM look. I mean, these are amazing cars. Yeah. Scott is using this. This is his family car, so his missus used it. He used it for long trips. So it's a fine balance between, the valved exhaust, for instance. He can put that in comfort on long journeys, so his kids' ears don't start bleeding.
It's not that bad at the moment, but you still have the flexibility to have the best of both worlds. And this
and the rides. It keeps the ride, and obviously also over speed bumps and stuff, I know from personal preference, just because of the short overhangs and the fact that they are quite high to begin with. 20mm really doesn't make any difference in terms of speed bumps.
Yeah, exactly. And do you remember you drove Tony's old demo, which is the Lamborghini Grey 440i with the same Springer spacer setup? Springer spacer setup as well. Go away.
Nice. Cool. Well, guys, I'm now going to put a little time lapse of Nick working his magic, and then we're going to take the car out for a drive and see what it's like. So we'll join you then. Cheers. Right then, the car is done. I'm going to show you what it looks like when we get outside, but I thought we'd just start it up. So Mike is inside at the moment. Give us a rev and comfort, Mike. So as you can hear, that's a bit more bassy. Now let's put it into Sport Plus. Again, it's just more throaty. Okay, so now Mike is in comfort with traction control turned off, which again changes the sound of the exhaust. Well, that sounds awesome. There's Scott, by the way, guys. You're going to meet him in a second.
Eco Pro.
Eco Pro, go through the whole range. Yeah, that's what Scott's going to use when he wakes up in the morning, so he doesn't upset his neighbours. Okay guys, so the car is done. We're outside in daylight now, and it looks epic. Just those little changes. I'll overlay what the car looked like just before, like an hour ago. And as you can see, now it just looks really, really good. Those tiny little changes make all the difference. The wheels just sit in the arches perfectly, and in fact, the wheels that maybe looked a little bit small earlier on today now sit in those arches perfectly. You've got the subtle exhaust tips. We've already heard that they make a difference in sound, but they just look great as well. They look fantastic. Scott didn't want to go too aftermarket, so he's stuck with the sort of black OEM look. Let's take this car out on the road and see what Scott thinks of it. Okay guys, here we are inside Scott's lovely 340i Touring. This is my good buddy Scott. How's it going, mate?
Easy now.
Easy now? He's been watching too many Ricky Living Life Fast videos. So the background is Scott and I, we used to race mountain bikes about 20 years ago, and we've been very good friends ever since. Scott has always been a petrol head, but when he hit his sort of late 20s, he grew up and made a family, whereas I continue to be a child. And so He's always been on the insurance of a lot of my cars, my M2 for example, so whenever I go away for extensive periods of time I throw him the keys, and he's always enjoyed that and got his sort of fixes from that. He's up until 2 weeks ago driven basically a Honda sort of SUV, so very practical, a reliable car, but effectively quite a boring car to drive. Very good for the family, but hasn't given him any weekend pleasures. 2-3 months ago he started messaging me about potential cars that he was looking at buying. Originally this wasn't really in there, it was more Audis, RS cars, a few this, that, everything.
Still SUV, wasn't it?
Yeah, SUV style cars, and I was trying to get him down into a touring or an estate, and then he started getting a bit obsessed with the 340i touring, and this one came up at a very good price. And now it's been into Motech, and we've been on the road for about half an hour in it. So I mean, firstly let's talk about the ride and the suspension setup. This is on passive shocks, by the way, so there's no adaptive suspension, but what does the ride feel like to you as a driver,
Scott? Well, it feels absolutely planted now. It's just a lot more stable. I can feel the difference in ride height, especially all these little country lanes.
Yeah, you can fit it already. It's amazing because we're only talking about like 12 millimeters on each side, and it's like, but I remember when I got my white M135i, the first time I drove it out of Motech, I was like, what? It feels so much wider and more planted.
Yeah.
And you noticed that immediately. In fact, the first corner we came to on one of these roads, you're like, wow, it just feels so. And as a passenger, I can feel the front end just feels much more planted. But at the same time, the ride, this is a shocking road that we're going down, the ride is still just as pliant, if not maybe a bit more. I don't know, because I haven't spent enough time in this car, but the ride comfort has not been ruined at all, because this is a pretty tragic road. But these tend to ride really nice anyway, definitely nicer than say an M140. They just feel like they've got more expensive shocks in them. But yeah, going through here, the front end just feels great. And in terms of sound, well, yeah, you can hear there's a bit more of a bassy tone. This car is very, very silent out of the box when it's stock. Now, with that exhaust, it hasn't really heated up properly yet. It hasn't been through any heat cycles, and obviously as they get older, they coke up a bit and make a better sound. But we're coming through here now, so maybe if we boot it out of this corner, we'll see what it sounds like. Yes. Sorry, I'm just going to make Scott crash his car for the video. I'll get loads of views if we crash it, Scott.
And I'm not looking for anything too over the top as well. Like I say, it's a family car.
Yeah.
I just want to be able to have that little bit more sound that just excites you when you're driving it.
Yeah. Yeah, so like when you borrow my M2 and you go around in first gear everywhere. Yeah, it's a difficult one to sort of tell today, because normally in this sort of video I'd put the windows down and would listen to it, but as you probably noticed by some of the flybys already, it is exceptionally windy out there today, which basically means that we can't really pick up much of the note or whatever. But from inside the car, I've been in this car for a couple of hours today because we drove down to Motech, you can definitely hear that there's a deeper bass sort of tone in here. And if Scott feels in, I don't know, a month's time or 6 months time that he wants a bit more sound, then you can get the resonator delete, which I've got on my M2 Comp, which then opens it up a lot more. My opinion is the car looks so much better now. It looks like a serious bit of kit. As a passenger, the ride comfort has not been lost, and the sound has got better and has increased, and will continue to do so down the track. Tell us a little bit about why you went for this in the end, Scott.
As far as the actual car itself,
yeah,
it was just a bit of a compromise really between having a family car and something that I can enjoy driving at the same time, really.
Yeah.
Making it practical, the space, like I say, I've got 2 kids and 2 dogs, bikes, all the rest of it. So yeah, it was a bit of a compromise between having the space and just being able to get out there and drive it and enjoy it. So, yeah.
And this kind of ticks all those boxes.
100%.
As you can see probably on the camera, you've got 2 child seats in the back there. But yeah, and obviously a big boot to take the kitchen sink around when you go away on holiday.
Yeah, it is. It's just the trips away, the holidays, everything. So yeah, it just needs to be practical.
Yeah, great cars, really good value at the moment with the new one just coming in as well. So yeah, that's about it really. Scott, thanks a lot for well, for making this happen today.
Yeah, cheers for everything as well to Motech and to Joe especially.
Cool guys, thanks a lot for watching. As Scott said, big shout out to Motech and the guys down there, Nick, Jay, Bonnie and co. Thank you very much, and we'll see you at the next video. Remember to give us a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and follow me on Instagram. Cheers.